"I scouted out the perfect place for us to eat," said Don as we hit the street. "It's right here on Pitt Street, on the other side of Bathurst. It's called the Pop Bistro, and the sign says Blues Nightly. Nitely. Is this city cool or what?" The Pop Bistro was in a building that looked like a nice version of 1 Pitt Street. The paint was fresh, the brick had been sandblasted, and new aluminum windows gleamed. I turned to Don. "We better be careful. I'll bet this place looked exactly like Plotnick's until somebody started breaking stairs." As we made for the Pop Bistro's front door, we stopped to admire the pink neon Eiffel Tower on the club's sign. Don sighed deeply. "This is gonna be great. We should have bought berets." As he reached for the door handle, a distant voice called, "No!" We wheeled to see Plotnick rushing across the street after us, waving his meat fork. By the time he reached us, he was gray and gasping. "Mr. Cardone! Mr. Champion! You can't go in there!" We stared. "Why? It's no good! You'll get gas and heartburn and food poisoning!" I swallowed hard. "Mr. Plotnick, no offense, but we're going to eat wherever we please. 2 days ago, someone wouldn't sell us 3 lousy plates of spaghetti on credit, and he's not getting another chance. We need to relax tonight, so please leave us alone." The meat fork made a dangerous arc in front of my face. "You can't relax in there! It's crazy! With people packed like sardines, you'll come out, you'll have high blood pressure!" Don brightened. "That's what we want! We're looking for some action!" "It's boring!" Plotnick raged. "You'll hate it! Come have dinner in my restaurant!" "No way!" I said. Don looked at our agitated landlord. "Mr. Plotnick, what do you have against this place?" "It's owned by a money grubber!" Both of us stared directly at him. "Not me! Hamish! A no-good, a lowlife! For 30 years I've known Hamish, and never once has he done a nice thing for another person! His building and restaurant used to be just like mine, and now look what he's done with it!" Don shrugged. "It's nice." "Nice! Nice! That bandit! He gouges big rents from his tenants, big prices from his customers, and he's making a fortune! I could take poison!" "I get it," I said. "You're jealous." Plotnick glared. "I deny this! It's a filthy lie!" I set my jaw. "We're eating here, Mr. Plotnick, and whatever this guy Hamish charges, bandit or not, it's got to be cheaper than dealing with you." With his free hand, Plotnick tore open the bistro door, screamed, "They're underage!" and with a triumphant look, started back to the deli. I stared at the sign that read, "No one under 19 will be admitted." Don gazed with a forlorn expression at Plotnick's receding back. "We weren't going in there to drink," he said sadly. "We just wanted some food and some Blues Nightly." We went back to 1 Pitt Street, picked up the car, and started to cruise to the harborfront area. We found a restaurant that was fairly cool, but not too expensive looking because our cash was still limited. No sooner were we seated than Don's radar was up, scanning the vicinity for a likely female. It took about 3 seconds. "Bingo!" he said smugly. "She makes Jessica look like a train wreck." I wouldn't go that far, but she was pretty nice. Problem was she was sitting with her parents. Don cast her his best Meet Mr. Wonderful look, and she responded with a dazzling green-eyed, red-haired smile that practically knocked the two of us over in our chairs. I frowned at Don resentfully. It must be nice to attract female attention with one well-placed glance. The girl's father noticed the romantic communication and scowled Don down. I beamed my approval. It went on like that all through dinner, she and Don trading vibes, and the parents trying to freeze Don out. I kept score, secretly rooting for Mom and Dad. I was choking down food like crazy because Don insisted that we had to pull even with them by the dessert stage, and I was half a chicken behind. "You could snort all this up your nose and wouldn't do you any good," I said, mouthful. "Those parents aren't going to let you anywhere near her." "Keep eating and leave that to me," Don mumbled, while sucking in an entire bowl full of linguine. "Check the table in front of her. She's had 3 Cokes. When she heads for the can, she's mine." These Mr. Wonderful strategies, they sound so stupid, but they work. It unfolded just like he said. She disappeared down the hallway to the restrooms, and Don was behind her like a Secret Service bodyguard. Her dad wheeled in his chair and shot me a look that would melt lead. I shrugged apologetically. "Kiki!" chortled Don gleefully. "The peach fuzzes of this world can only get so far before the real champions rise to the surface. A Kiki beats a Jessica any day." By the dim light of the dashboard, Don poured over a cocktail napkin. On it was written Kiki 5552461 in red lipstick. Beside the signature was the glossy red impression of lips kissing the paper. "Anybody named Kiki has to be awesome, but her, wow! And if I may say so myself, it was true artistry getting this number right under her parents' noses. Not bad at all." "You better be careful," I advised Don. "That father looks like he patrols under her bedroom window with a blunderbuss." "He'll come around," said Don serenely. "Yeah," I snapped. "He'll come around the corner to see what he's shot. Listen, it's not just the number, it's the momentum. These things come in waves, Jason. This is just what we needed." He slapped the note for emphasis. "This is the break that's going to turn our summer around. Mark my words, from this moment on, everything is going to be perfect." Suddenly, I was blinded by red lights in the rearview mirror. I craned my neck to see a police car tailing us. I pulled over, and one officer got out and examined the Camaro. When he knelt to check the license plate, it hit me in one instant in exquisite horror. We'd forgotten to call the police to report the stolen car had never really been stolen at all. We were under arrest. My gibbered-out explanation of why we were in the stolen vehicle not only made us look like criminals, but stupid criminals to boot. Even Don didn't believe me, and he knew I was telling the truth. I mean, let's face it. Car, root beer, Florida, Joe, alligators, I didn't do anything, wasn't about to convince the police to let us go. We sat at the desk. We sat at the desk while the arresting officer spoke on the phone across the room. Don craned his neck around the station house. "Don't worry, Jason. We're definitely the best-dressed guys who got arrested tonight. Good thing we wore our new clothes." I couldn't believe it. "Are you nuts? We're in jail! What difference does it make what we're wearing?" "Don't be dumb. We're a couple of clean-cut guys. If we looked sleazy, they'd probably lock us up while they checked out our story." Our cop hung up the phone and came over, looking grim. "I'm gonna lock you up while I check out your story. Empty your pockets." Stunned, we handed over everything we could find to the new clothes that made us so respectable and would keep us out of the clink. They took our wallets and watches and Don's gold chain. They even took the note on the cocktail napkin. Don pleaded with them, but the officer said rules were rules. "You take good care of that!" cried Don. Then we were escorted through the dingy, chaotic halls of the police station to a windowless interrogation room and left there. I turned to Don. "From this moment on, everything's going to be perfect," I mimicked savagely. "If they lose Kiki's telephone number," Don promised, "I'm going to sue the Toronto Police Department." "For what?" I snarled. "Wrongful misplacement of an important document," Mr. Wonderful declared. Napkin napping would be more like it. I can't believe they locked us up, Don moaned. Don't they understand it was just a mistake? The time dragged. I can't be sure just how much time because our watches were with Don's napkin. It must have been at least a couple hours. If we hadn't looked like criminals coming in, we must have by now. Wild-eyed, nervous, sweaty, and disheveled. Don sat on a small wooden chair, whistling 99 bottles of beer on the wall through his teeth. I paced back and forth, wondering why it took so long to find out that the car was Joe's, and I was Jason, the address matched, and we were on the up and up. Suddenly the door opened up, and our cop escorted Ferguson into the room. The Peach had boosted our humiliation up to the next level by bringing Jessica along. It was a moment of perfect agony. Jessica's eyes were on me at last. Sure, everyone wanted to look at the idiot who got arrested for stealing his own car. And what about Don? When the guy who moved in on your girl brings that girl to visit you in the slammer, it's a special kind of pain. I figured Don was going to grind Ferguson into a useless powder in front of every cop in town. It didn't happen. Don's purple face and my red one both had the sense to keep their mouths shut. The Peach, with his usual perfect logic, had straightened things out for the police in a way that no one else had thought of. He explained to them that they had Jason Cardone in custody for a car theft reported by Jason Cardone. It worked a lot better than what the cops were doing, which was trying to get in touch with the owner of the vehicle. That meant Don and I could sign for our valuables and leave. Don't forget to take our car off the hot sheet, I reminded the desk sergeant as I put on my watch and pocketed my wallet. Front pocket, Jessica reminded me. Don was rifling through his pile of belongings with increasing agitation. All right, he bellowed. Who took my napkin? Relax, kids, said the desk sergeant. We'll get you another napkin. Don was red-faced. But it has to be that one! Where is it? Achoo! We wheeled, seated at a computer terminal. A constable, watery-eyed and sneezing, blew his nose into a large, white napkin! Cried Don, wrenching the serviette away from the startled policeman's face. It's smeared! But you can still read the number! Jessica looked around the police station warily. Wonder how many of these people are muggers? Suddenly, she pointed to a tall, bearded man in a black trench coat. Officer! She whispered urgently to the desk sergeant. See that man over there? The sergeant whispered back. What about him? Don't you think it's funny that he's wearing a long coat like that in the summer? Maybe he's hiding a sawed-off shotgun in there. The sergeant stood up. Probably not, he replied, and by now his whisper was loud enough for all to hear. He's the police chaplain. We hauled her out of there before she got us rearrested. Root Beer was waiting up, still squinting at his stamps. So, how was it? You're never gonna believe this, I said. We were in jail. Yeah, I know. The cops called here asking about the car. They told me they were holding you and I didn't want to spoil everything, so I hung up. What? I recalled our officer coming straight from the phone to lock us up. Now I knew why. Holding cells are so relaxing, the giant reminisced in a dreamy, far-off look in his eye. I've done some of my best meditation in jail. I warned Ferguson not to get you out too soon. You really need a good 6 to 8 hours to, gear down. Hope I didn't wreck it for you. I stared at Root Beer's earnest face. No, it was just right, I said finally.